Hi, this is Mrs. Lloyd, and today we're going to start our quadratics unit. The standard form of a quadratic is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. A quadratic graph is U-shaped, and it's called a parabola. We have something called the axis of symmetry, which divides the parabola in half. And in order to find this axis of symmetry, we need the formula, and you will need to know this. X equals negative b over 2a. And I will show you how we use that in just a minute. The vertex, the lowest point on a parabola that opens up, which we would also call a minimum, or the highest point on a parabola that opens down, which we would also call a maximum. The lowest point is a minimum. In this case, your A would be positive. It's happy or positive. And the highest point, a maximum, your A is negative. It's frowning or it's negative. And by A, I mean this first coefficient. So to find the vertex, you first have to find the axis of symmetry, or your X, and then you'll substitute that X value back in and solve for Y. So let's try that. Given the standard form of a parabola, find the axis of symmetry and the vertex and label as a maximum or a minimum. So the first thing when I look, I see that the coefficient here is a 1, not written but understood. So that is positive, and that means this one is a minimum. I'm going to do that first. Okay, now let's use our formula. X is equal to negative b over 2a. Negative b, my b is 6, so I need negative 6 over 2 times a, and my a is a 1, so 2 times 1. That's negative 6 over 2, so x is equal to negative 3. Now I will plug that back in to find my y. Y is equal to, for every x, I'm going to plug in negative 3. Negative 3 squared plus 6 times negative 3 plus 19. If you're going to use a calculator and you have a negative, make sure that you use parentheses. Y is equal to 10. So my ordered pair is negative 3, 10. And that is my vertex. It's at negative 3, 10. It's a minimum. It opens up like this one. I'm going to work number 3, and then I'll leave 2 and 4 for you. So first I have a negative, so that means that I have a max. And now let's plug in x is equal to negative b over 2a, negative b. So I have negative 14 over 2 times my a. My a is a negative 1. Negative 14 is positive 14. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. 14 divided by negative 2 is negative 7. And again, plug that in. Y is equal to, watch closely what I do here. Negative from this negative, and our negative 7 for x, you need both. You cannot go ahead and change this sign. Minus 14 times negative 7 minus 42. And that will give me a positive 7. So my vertex is at negative 7, 7. Okay, you try 2 and 4 and then come back to check your work. Okay, number 2 is a max, and the vertex is at 2, negative 1. And number 4 is a min, and the vertex is at 6, 6. Okay, we also need to talk about intercept form, just a different form that a quadratic could be given to us in. And you can see an example of that here on number 5. So if we have intercept form, basically we're going to have to FOIL first, and then we'll use the same process that we used earlier. So first, I put my quadratic into standard form. Now I'm going to use my formula. So I'm going to use this negative b, negative 5 over 2 times a, 2 times 1. So this gives me negative 5 over 2. A fraction, we don't really like that, but it happens. Y equals, and I'm plugging back in right here, negative 5 over 2 squared plus 8 times negative 5 over 2 . Nope, I plugged it into the wrong place. This should be a 5, I'm sorry. Minus 24. And that will give me negative 121 over 4. You definitely want a calculator on that one. Let's go back now and look. This was positive, so this was a min. And my vertex is at negative 5 over 2 and negative 121 over 4. So that's okay, fractions can happen. Let's look at number 7. First thing I'm going to do is FOIL, and I'm going to FOIL first and then distribute this negative, just how I prefer to do it. X squared plus 4x minus 10x minus 40. I'm going to combine like terms. X squared minus 6x minus 40. And now we'll distribute the negative to give me negative x squared plus 6x plus 40. So now I have standard form. This is a negative, so I know it's a max. So I'll go ahead and do that, so don't forget. And now let's use our formula. Negative b, negative 6, 2 times negative 1. That's negative 6 divided by negative 2, so that is 3. And plugging back in, negative 3 squared plus 6 times 3 plus 40. And that will give me 49. So this vertex is at 349. Why don't you try 6 and 8 and then come back and check your work. Okay, here are your answers for 6 and 8. On number 6, we have a min at 2, negative 64. And on 8, we have a max at 0.18. Notice something interesting on number 8. We did not have a b term. There's no coefficient in front of just an x. So that means our b was 0. And if that happens, that's what you do. Put in a 0 and continue to work the problem. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.